All right, welcome back, Inebri-ites. This is Andy of the Inebri-art podcast, and as part of ArtWeek, we decided to kind of put together a little live podcast seminar, and I reached out to someone who's been on my radar for, I don't know, about a year now or so. I signed up for her emailing list and been paying attention. Came across her on John Shea's show on WATD radio. Katie Dobbins, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
So, singer-songwriter, best way to describe you? Yeah?
Yeah.
And so at what age did you realize that you kind of, like, when did you decide that was your outlet? Like, when did you really kind of catch the music bug?
Yeah, so when I was younger, it wasn't really like a decision to do music. I just kind of always did music, and I was in a musical family. My dad always had guitars lying around the house, and we were given a free piano when I was like 5 years old or something, which was pretty cool. So I was always just like playing around different instruments, and I was an only child, so my parents were like, let's let her do anything she wants.
So you were a spoiled only child?
Yeah, a little bit.
Nice.
Not gonna lie. So, I took dance lessons, piano, guitar, all kinds of things. At one point I played the violin, but I should say I attempted the violin. I never really learned how to play. I was in the band, so I did a little bit of everything, and I feel like music's always been in my blood. I started writing songs when I was about 12 years old, so like those middle school years that are really tough, especially when you're a middle school girl. I don't know how it is for boys. I imagine it's tough for you guys, too.
It's made difficult by middle school girls.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so your fault.
And girls are made difficult by middle school girls, too.
Oh, yeah, probably. They're kind of the worst.
Yeah, they're kind of the worst. So that's when I started writing songs, and kind of that was really an outlet for a lot of like those emotions and just like a way to express myself. And I used to write songs all the time. I mean, about everything, and I loved it. And then I went through a period of about, I don't even know, like 5 to 7 years where I just stopped playing music.
What caused you to stop? Like what?
So at the time, I think that I thought that I was being like practical. Like I think that I was like, oh, like I'm going to college. Like this isn't practical. Like I want to go study stuff and make friends and like do other things. And I think I was sick of, I don't know, like being in the spotlight, if you will. Not that I was ever a big star or anything, but just like I was always in the plays, and I was always like trying to do all this musical stuff. But I also think that I told myself that I was sick of it. Like I remember saying to my dad, because he was like, "Why don't you want to go to a music school?" And
were your parents professional musicians, or were they just kind of like hobby musicians?
My mom's not a musician at all, but she used to like sing to me a lot when I was younger. Okay. So that's when I say I was surrounded by music. Like we used to make up songs together in the car and stuff. And my dad is a tinkerer, like he tinkers on lots of different things. But and him and I have played, like he's played guitar while I sang at my uncle's wedding. Oh, nice. So we've done stuff like that, but they're not professional musicians, no. But he was kind of like, they kind of thought maybe I would go to music school, and I was like, I don't know.
Do you think it was more like, not necessarily parental pressure, but more societal pressure where you're like, oh, I got to do something serious?
Kinda. And I also think that if I really like dig deep down, I think I was scared of it, because I was like scared of failure, but also scared of like, what if it actually went well? Like, I think there was fear on both sides of the spectrum, and I just like couldn't handle it. And so I was like, I'm not a musician. And I think I was too afraid to actually ever call myself a singer-songwriter. Mm-hmm. Like I was like, yeah, I write songs, but I'm not like good, or I was like, oh, like those
if
people
are better. If you write songs,
better.
I think by definition you're a songwriter.
right. Like, yeah, I know. But I don't know. I just didn't believe in myself when it comes down to it. And so and then there was also the societal thing of like, well, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to get a degree, and I'm going to get like a job that, pays me money, which, some people get paid money for songwriting, and that's nice.
Not always. Yeah. And it's one of those, I feel like it's one of those career choices where if you can make it work, it's got big dividends, but you have to kind of, I don't want to be like, oh, you got to starve and suffer for your art, but you kind of have to starve and suffer to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all part of it.
Yeah. So at what point did you decide to refer to yourself as a songwriter opposed to someone who writes songs?
Well, so I think that after that kind of hiatus that I took, I realized that it's such a core to who I am that, like, that is who I am. And, like, I do need to call myself a songwriter, and I do need to get back into music, because without it, like I was talking before about, that was my way to express myself and process my emotions. And I just like didn't have that without music. And so I got back into it, but I didn't, it took me a little while to like officially be like, I am a songwriter. Like I decided I'm like all or nothing person. So I was like, I'm getting back into music. So I announced it to everyone, like, hey everyone, I'm a singer-songwriter and I'm going to make an album, like most people.
And the people at the bus stop are like, great.
Yeah. Like, what's her name? Yeah. Why do we care? And I made a Facebook page, and I remember it was like midnight, and I was at home with my parents. They live in New Hampshire. And I made a Facebook page, and we were sitting on the couch like waiting and watching as the likes went up, because I had invited all my friends to this. Is so embarrassing. I've never told anyone this.
And you're like sitting there. We hit 12.
Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, so-and-so from middle school liked it. My mom's like, great. But it was like really exciting, and I made a GoFundMe.
Did you make the Facebook page prior to having any songs written?
Well, I had all my middle school songs. No, I did have a couple songs that I had put, because I had decided to make an album, and I had this whole catalog of songs that I like wanted to record, and I was also writing some new stuff. So I had put a couple of them on YouTube, so that I could show people, I'm not just saying I'm a songwriter. Look, I actually wrote some songs.
I'm not drunk.
But now I'm like, please don't watch those videos.
Yeah. Well, that's one of those things. Like you always, we were talking about this not that long ago. Like our early podcast episodes are horrible. Right. Do you feel like there was, well, let me kind of roll back a little bit, because was there a specific incident that made that change? Were you like in between jobs, or like was there a life event that triggered this?
Absolutely. Yeah. I had just gone through a breakup.
Yeah.
And then I was originally, it was over April break, because I'm a school teacher. Mm-hmm. And I was originally supposed to be visiting my boyfriend over April break, but then said breakup occurred. So the plans changed. And I ended up going to a women's Christian conference in New York City with some girls from my church who had been planning on going to this for a while. And it was at that conference where I experienced kind of a big breakthrough. And I was like, I just felt like I was like, spoken through. It was like so many aha moments throughout the whole weekend, just being immersed in all of the spiritual stuff and like around all these empowering women. And I was like, all right, I was born to do music, and I'm rejecting it for no reason, and I got to get back to it. So yeah.
Does your spirituality really cool. Influence your music a lot? Is that part of what you sing about?
It is, and not intentionally. I think a lot of the songs that I write are, if someone is a spiritual person or a religious person or whatever, I think that they might hear some of my songs and be like, oh, there's like a deeper meaning in that. Mm-hmm. But I also think that they're not necessarily deliberately about that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
People
they're not hymns.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of like, there's definitely some subtle like messaging throughout my music, just because it's such a core of who I am that it ends up coming out, because the musical expression is a reflection of like, I think, what's inside of you. And so for me, and so that's what comes out. But the songs are also about like everyday things that everyone can relate to,
Yeah. So where do you begin when you write a song? Like, what is kind of like, do you go with lyrics first? Do you find a melody first? Is it like a moment in your life where you're like, I got to write a song about that? Like, where does the whole process begin?
It's different for every song. But mostly for me, it's lyrics first. Yeah. So a lot of times I really like driving, and I end up driving up to New Hampshire a lot just to see my parents and stuff. And it's in the car where like...
What do you drive?
I drive a Volkswagen Passat.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. We're a Volkswagen family. This is my second car in my life, and my first one was a Jetta. And I was really sad to get rid of it because it's like such a peppy little fun car. Yeah. But I didn't change that much. I stuck with the Passat, and it's got a turbo, so it's still pretty peppy. But yeah, so I get inspired when I'm driving, I think, just because it's time when I'm like alone in the car and I'm thinking, and so sometimes a melody will get stuck in my head, or like a line will get stuck in my head, and I feel safe in my car because I'm by myself, so I can turn my phone recording app on and just kind of start like singing stuff and kind of like tweak it as it goes. And like the other day, like a song that I just wrote the other day, I think I wrote almost the entire thing lyrically in the car, and then it's like later I was like, great, I just got to add some guitar chords.
Car acoustics are great. everybody sounds good until someone else is sitting in the car and it screws up the acoustics.
Exactly.
Yeah. So do you do a lot of kind of like, is that, so when you're in the car, you can't be listening to the radio.
Correct.
So do you just kind of like sing to yourself
because
in the car
then I would
and
be
look like a
copying
crazy
radio
person?
songs. Yeah, so I also do I also have all these like vocal warm-ups that I do every day because I had some issues in my voice this fall because I got this like really bad cold and it affected me forever. And so I had to go to this woman who taught me some techniques, and she was like, you really should be doing these vocal exercises every day because your voice is a muscle and you want to be strengthening it all the time. So one of the exercises, this is also embarrassing, I don't usually talk about this, but you put a straw in your mouth and you like breathe, you practice breathing exercises with the straw, and then you can also do like vocal things with it.
Do you put it in like sideways, or do you put it in
it's like you're drinking from the straw.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but you're practicing breath. And so I'll be driving. The best place to do it is in my car because, again, I'm alone. And like I'm such a busy person that I won't make time for vocal exercises, unless I'm like doing something else. So I always do them in my car in the morning or like before I'm going to be writing something. And so people probably think I'm crazy. Like they look in my car and see this woman with a straw in her mouth, just like moving her head up and down and like bobbing around. And they're probably like, what is that?
Do you ever get to
doing?
like a stoplight and like look sideways and you're like, oh shit.
I never look sideways. No. That's the trick.
Yeah. So once you have sung to yourself in the car and you have the melody, is there like a certain kind of like a time period? Like, do you have like kind of a set time before you're like, okay, it's ready, or is it just kind of more of a feel?
Yeah, it's like I'm feeling it or I'm not. Like I'll write a verse and a chorus, and sometimes I'll be like, yeah, nope, that's just not good, and then I'll turn the radio on, or I'll like work on something else, or sometimes I write a verse and a chorus and I'm like, ooh, that's pretty catchy. I like that, So It's all about how I feel. And if I start getting bored, then I'll just start listening to a podcast or listening to the radio or something.
So obviously you listen to the Inebri-art podcast on your trips, but
every episode.
Yeah, liar. But you're talking earlier, you're also a podcaster.
I am also a podcaster. Yeah.
Well, name drop. What's the name of your podcast?
Let the Music Set You Free.
And what led to that? Like, how long have you been doing it? What got you started in it?
Well, I realized I really like to talk, and podcasting is a great outlet for that. I also really like music, and I like meeting other people.
It's great when you have a podcast, no one tells you to shut up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm like, I'm in control. I'm hosting this thing. Let's go. No, I'm just kidding. Sort of. But, yeah, I really like music. I like talking. I like meeting other people. And basically once a month, I interview another artist, like independent artist in the emerging music scene. And we talk about topics that we are like trying to get free from. So in the fall was the funniest one because we did free from busyness, which is like I'm constantly busy and I never relax. So we were laughing the whole time. But it's not so much a like, hey, we have all the answers podcast. It's more of a, this is interesting. We're both going through this. Let's talk about
like
strategies that we use. And strategizing and whatever. And then, usually the guest will play a song or something. So
nice.
Yeah, it's fun.
So at what point, so you got back into music, you made your Facebook page like a crazy person, watched all the people like it.
It was very exciting. It's been no moment that exciting in a long time.
At what point then were you like, I'm going to play out? Was it right away? Were you kind of like going to get 12 songs first? Like at what point were you like ready to hit the stage?
I was ready. I just wasn't sure like what to do. Like I didn't know where to start. And so I started playing open mics. The first open mic I did in Boston was at the Lizard Lounge. And I got there at the very beginning and I stayed till the very end like a crazy person because I was just like, this is a cool moment. And Tom Bianchi at the time was running it and it was just a really cool night. Anyway, so I started doing open mics whenever I could, and then I started playing in different coffee shops. But it's hard. I found that it was really hard to get any gigs without having a record, without having any press. Like people are drawn to success.
Yeah.
And so when you're a brand new artist, it is really hard to get those like first gigs and kind of get that like resume built and get that practice in and like, become a seasoned performer, if you will.
Yeah, probably because people want to make sure that you're going to show up for the gig.
Of course, yeah.
not drive people out with,
Right. Terrible
your
music.
acoustic death metal versions of whatever. So how long have you been playing out? When was your return officially? How many years ago?
When was my return officially? Well, my first album released in May of 2017, and I had been recording it for about 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what I was doing, so it took a little while. So I guess 2015 must have been ish.
Kind of like when you kicked
when
off.
I got back into it.
And you started GoFundMe. Was that to fund your album?
That was to fund my album. Yeah.
And starting a GoFundMe, I think you might be one of our first people we've ever had on that had like a crowdsource project.
Oh.
Was there added pressure to people have given you this money to make something, not just make something, but make quality something that they're not going to then regret having kicked into? Or
I think so, maybe. But I think that I'm the kind of person who puts pressure on myself anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I already was I'm making a CD. It has to be 200% the best I can do. Just because I said, I'm kind of all or nothing. So I was I'm making this CD. I'm going to do it as best I can. I think it was a little bit of added pressure in terms of okay, I just decided to do this GoFundMe. I hope it's not an embarrassing failure, and nobody donates, and then I have this public thing out there that's look, I put myself out here and nobody took the bait. That was more of my fear, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you put out your CD, and you were talking about that you were just in Nashville. Were you down in Nashville, on tour, or were you just kind of vacationing?
So I actually just released my second album on March 29th. And then
a couple months ago?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. And what's the title of that album?
That one is called There Is Light.
Okay.
And I recorded it near here, probably not too far from here, with Sean McLaughlin in Rockland, Mass.
Oh, yeah.
At 37 Foot Productions. And so we've been working on that for about a year, and I released it on the 29th, and then I had a series of 3 release shows to celebrate it, and one was on my 30th birthday on March 30th. So that was kind of 2 really big life milestones, the album and then my birthday. And then I had another show in Vermont and then New Hampshire. And so it's kind of this whirlwind, year of recording and then 30th birthday and all these release shows. And so my friend and I were and I was we just really want to celebrate this moment, because I felt like I hadn't really taken any time to just let it sink in.
So it's kind of like decompression time?
Yeah, and I love Nashville, and it's only my 3rd time there, but every time I go, I just feel so inspired just from being there. And so I love going down there, and I was let's just do it. We bought the tickets a week before we went, and so it was kind of it was over school vacation, and it was a celebration.
I get it. You're a teacher. You get a lot of time off.
I know.
I have so many friends that are teachers.
Summer's coming.
I'll get these text messages in the middle of the week, and it'll be one of those feet pictures at the beach. And I'll be oh, it's beautiful, but there's too much sand in my book. And you'll be
well, you know what I always say? You also could become a teacher.
No, I could not. Because then I would probably be on trial for murder.
So let's cross that off the list.
What age do you teach? Do you teach music?
No, I teach high school special ed. And people always ask me, oh, do you incorporate your music into your teaching practice? And I don't. I probably should, but I don't. They're very, separate.
I know 2 musicians that are teachers, and neither of them teach music.
Okay, well, that makes me feel better. Yeah.
So that now I can cross off that other question. You don't incorporate... But is there some sort of connect? Do you find any relation between the two, between teaching and playing music? Handling an audience.
It's definitely a performance.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to when you're teaching, you have to work the crowd, if you will, right? You have to get the kids engaged, and although it's a very different audience, I feel very comfortable in front of people. I feel very comfortable on stage, talking to people and trying to get them engaged. So
I was actually talking with, I can't remember now who it was recently. When I was a kid, I was extremely shy. And I was in drama, I was in band, and I was trying to relate to them that a one-on-one conversation is completely different than like performing. Do you find that the same? Are you shy around a small group of people, or are you just a generally chatty, open person?
I do really well with like one person or like 3 people. I've realized that I don't do great in like a small to mid-sized group. I get a little lost because I was always kind of shy too. Especially if there's like a lot of strong personalities in the group. Like I'm not the kind of person that's gonna like compete and be like, I guess I'm not much of a diva. Like I'm not. You don't
need the center of attention.
No, I mean, like I don't mind it if that happens, but I'm not. If that makes sense, like I'm not. Right. I'm also not like, oh my god, don't look at me, but I don't seek it out.
Are you implying that you're well balanced?
Maybe. I'm just basically perfect. No, I'm just kidding. But I don't thrive in those like medium-sized group situations because I tend to kind of just like withdraw into the background. Yeah. But I do well in like 1 to 3 people or like on stage.
It was funny. I always said I felt I did well on stage because it's different. You're communicating with the audience, but in a completely different way. Like you're putting something out there. You're not necessarily expecting I suppose you're expecting feedback, but it's different. And plus,
if you don't get feedback, you probably know how to like carry on anyways.
Right. And you don't see them because usually there's lights and they're just a black mass.
Oh my god, that makes me more nervous.
Really?
Yeah, like when I get on stage and the lights are really bright and I can't see the audience, I like freak out.
Oh, you worried they're not really there, or that they're yawning? Or?
Like I don't know. I think I like to see that engagement.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I just feel like I'm in this weird dark void where I'm like the first time when Club Passim used to have an open mic, mm-hmm. and I love Club Passim a lot, but one night I played at this open mic and the lights were so bright and I couldn't see anybody, and I just remember being like, I got off the stage and I was like, oh my god, that was so scary, I couldn't even see you guys. Like, I don't know what it is. I feel like it should be less scary, but I like to like see that people also when I'm playing a show, and I'm like this too, like you go to a show to have a good time and you go out with your friends and like you end up talking to them because you're out with your friends to have a good time, and it's totally understandable and normal and like whatever, that's good. But when I'm playing, if there's like a group of people talking and I can tell that they're totally not interested and not listening, instead of taking the rational approach of like, oh, I understand they're here with their friends and they want to have a good night, so they're talking, I get in my head about it and I'm like, they hate my music, they hate me, they're not listening, they're totally not engaged, and it like makes me more nervous. So I think that what calms my nerves is knowing that people are like engaged with what I'm doing. And so I have to see them to be able to do that.
It's funny. I hate going to see local music with musician friends.
Because they're like, don't talk, the music's playing.
You'll be having a conversation, and in the middle of your conversation, they start to clap extremely loudly, and you're like, what the? Oh, they just stopped playing. Right, okay, yes, I'm clapping too. I'm like, we were having like a really serious, heartfelt, like, I'm going through some stuff. I don't need you clapping at that. Or like... on the other side is like you'll be talking and all of a sudden they'll be like, oh, he's off, and be like, what? He's sharp, and I'll be like, I was really enjoying it until you started like critiquing this poor guy, like, leave him alone. Man.
Yeah, I'm totally that person, but we wouldn't be having a conversation. I'd be like, shh, the music's playing.
Pay attention,
don't be rude.
But it's funny, it's like I also don't like to go out to eat with my friends who waited tables, because they'd be like, we're done, we need to go.
Oh, yes,
yeah, that kind of like, we need to go. Which
I was a waitress once. By once, I mean like for 3 months, one summer. So
you tell people they can't talk and then you rush them out?
Yeah, right. No, don't take anything I say about waitressing too seriously, because like I was terrible at it and I didn't do it for very long. But the waitresses used to get so mad, like that my coworkers, when people would sit there for a long time. Yeah. And I was like, I just never understood that. I mean, I get it. They're taking up a table, but I'm like, we're in the entertainment industry. Like right. The service industry, whatever. Industry, yeah. But like they're out for a good time. Like that just means they're enjoying. I don't know. Yeah. I get it. But
I get it, but it's like I hate going out to eat with them because they're like, we need to go. You need to tip more. I'm like, I tip like over 20%. No, you need to tip more. We need to go.
What's the new standard? Like 30?
I think it's 20%, but like not for like industry people.
Yeah.
They always overtip. Is there the kind of that same thing with musicians where you like obviously you don't let people speak, but do you kind of like over applaud? Do you kind of like make sure you go up and talk to them afterwards?
Absolutely. And I feel like I have to like stay the whole time. I
Yeah.
feel very, even though like the musicians probably don't care at all, I feel very like important in the crowd. Like I'm like, I need to show them respect. Like, okay, for example, we were in Nashville last week, and everyone in Nashville is, you know, mostly vacate. If you go to like the main strip downtown and you go to listen to music on the rooftop bars and stuff, you know, most people there who are there on a Tuesday at 2 p.m. drinking are on vacation, you know. And so everyone's there to just like have a good time, have some drinks, listen to their favorite songs. And, you know, you can put a little money in the tip jar and request your favorite cover by, you know, whoever.
Oh, Wagon Wheel.
Yeah, that got requested a lot.
I bet.
Yep. And so I was the person at every bar. They're like, anyone want to hear anything? I'm like, play an original. And everyone is probably like, oh my God, why did you ask for that? Like, and then like after they'd be like, oh my God. And you know, I was like, I felt so important because I'm like, I can tell the musicians really appreciate it, because they would be like, oh my God, thanks for asking for an original. Like, who are you? Like, why did you ask for that? And I was like, I know. I'm like, so cool. And afterwards I'd be like, great original. Thank you so much for playing. That was really, you know, and it was.
You're so lucky I'm here.
I genuinely did feel like I wasn't just doing it because I'm like, I'm a singer-songwriter, but like I genuinely was like, I'm in Nashville. I know these people probably write kick-ass songs. Like,
right.
I want to hear them, because everyone down there is working their butt off, you know, trying to write good songs. And so I really did want to hear them, but I was like, everyone in this bar hates me right now.
So down here in Plymouth, there's a huge music scene. Unfortunately, a lot of it is covers. Do you find that where you normally play, or do you kind of seek out the places that do mostly original music?
Yeah, I tend to seek out places that encourage original music, just because that's what I like to play, because I feel so connected to my songs, and like I want people to hear them. But I also like hearing original music. Like I kind of get sick of hearing the same songs over and over again. Like even in Nashville, where all the music was so good,
everyone covers the same song.
After a while, I was like, oh my God, I'm just craving original music. Like I want to hear something new. I want to hear something from the heart. Not that cover songs can't be from the heart, because the reason everyone plays them is because they're really good songs. You know, right. Like I hope that one of my songs someday could be a cover song that somebody else sings in a bar. Like, right? Isn't that the dream? So I tend to seek out original music gigs just so that I can showcase my songs. But I also, like, if I had a band that I played with regularly, I do think that I would enjoy singing covers, because, like, there is something about when you sing a cover song and you look out and everybody's, like, super into it. It's like an energy difference.
I feel like it's a lot easier to get an audience. I feel like I'm a musician. But it must be a lot easier to get the buy-in from the audience, because it's something they immediately recognize and can sing along to. I'm
actually trying to like get some more covers on my musical repertoire resume, whatever you want to call it. It's a set list. That's what it is. So yeah, I'm trying to learn some more, just because I feel like it's a good way to hook people, to get them engaged, get them to like you, and then you can be like, all right, now like I want to play you an original, you know. So
all right. Do you have like one go-to cover, and is there like one that you would absolutely never play?
I always play Girl Get Your Records On by oh my God, gonna forget her name now. What? Corinne Bailey Rae. Thank you. I always play that one. How did I forget that?
I'm not even familiar with that song.
Girl, get your records on. Really?
Yeah. No.
Tell me your favorite song.
Right. Nope, I'm gonna have to go look that one up. I'm sorry.
It's a good one. It's not like played on the radio all the time, so I'm not surprised that you haven't heard of it. I don't know why I know it, but I do, and it's one of my favorites. And it, like, whenever I play it, there's always a few ladies in the audience that are like, "Oh my God, I love this song," and I'm like, "Me too." And it's a bonding moment.
Yeah. Is there one that you're like never, ever, ever, never?
Probably. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't really thought about it. So when we kind of talked about this, everyone hates on Wagon Wheel.
Yeah.
I think it's a good song.
All right. Podcast is over. Pull the mic.
There's a reason everyone wants to hear it. It's a good song, but is
it though?
But what I did is I changed it lyrically to be about New Hampshire because I'm from New Hampshire. And so I'll play it up there sometimes, but with different lyrics that are all about like, instead of going down south, it's about coming from Mass to New Hampshire.
Is it strangely specific? Like,
yeah. It's about Lake Winnipesaukee, where I'm from.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I used to go up to Hermit Lake. I think it's called Hermit Lake.
Don't know where that is.
It's not far from Lake Winnipesaukee. My buddy used to have a cabin up there. We used to go drinking up there in high school.
Nice.
Treble, so it was a lot of fun. Liam, do your homework. That's my son. He listens. So now I lost my train of thought. I was thinking about Lake Winnipesaukee. So we're talking about covers. You have your 2 albums.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever have you kind of mentioned a little bit, but like you'd like really be cool if you had someone else covering your music? Would you kind of, I don't really know where I'm going with this line of questioning. See, remember how we were talking about I don't plan questions? And you're like, I have a few go-to ones. This would be one of those moments where I should have one. So let's completely segue to a different thing.
Yep.
YouTube. You said you had a couple YouTube videos.
Yes.
Do you find that like YouTube is a really valid form now? Because there's so many people that have kind of like created a career out of YouTube and playing music and covers and originals. Do you get a lot of traction from that?
I am still learning how to navigate all of the social media pages that there are to navigate and figure out like how to use each one. So I don't think that I've fully figured out YouTube to its fullest potential. I think that it can be a really great tool, and I've seen artists have a lot of success with it. And I think that if you devote time to it, and like what I learned at a conference I went to is like YouTube is really good too if you have a series of videos that you want to put out that are kind of like all tied together. Like that's what YouTube likes to promote, kind of thing. And so I was trying to think of ways I could do that. I've started doing some co-writing with people, and I'm hoping to launch a co-write series where I'm like doing videos of the process and the song that was created and things like that. And so I have some ideas on how to use YouTube. Right now, it's sort of just a dumping ground for any video that I have.
Yeah.
And so, I have a playlist on there of like any live video that has been recorded professionally or not is in my, live video YouTube playlist. And I have one music video that I recorded or that I put out a year ago in February. That's a really, really sweet video. It's called Post-it Notes. And my aunt and uncle, I wrote the song for their wedding. And then they acted in the music video. They get mad when I use the word acting, though, because they're like, no, it's genuine love. Like, we're not acting. And they really are so genuinely in love. And the video is super cute. So that got some good traction. People seem to really like that video. I don't know how many subscribers I have on YouTube. I don't feel like it has...
That's pretty easy to find out.
Yeah, I could probably just look at my phone find it out pretty quickly. So I feel like, to answer your question, if I'm answering your question,
I barely got the question out, so don't feel obligated to answer it.
I love YouTube as a platform to like host all kinds of different videos, and I like that it doesn't limit you to like, it doesn't have to be a professional music video.
Right.
I happen to have one, and I also have a variety of other things. So I like that I can kind of host things there, direct people to it. People can get an idea of what it looks like and sounds like when I play live. But I haven't figured out how to quite use it to gain a wider audience. And I know that there is room for that somehow once I tap into it, maybe.
Where's your favorite place to play live?
Favorite place to play live right now is probably the Burren back room, partly because it's right in my backyard, because I live in Somerville.
That's always convenient.
It's like super convenient, but it's also, they've worked so hard to make it into a listening room that really appreciates music and artists and original music. And so I really appreciate that. Everybody's really nice there, and I always have a good experience when I play there. So, yeah, and I'm going to be doing a monthly, I'll just plug it real quick. I'm going to be doing a monthly Songwriter series there.
Oh, nice.
The last Tuesday of every month, I'm going to be hosting a Songwriter round. So it'll be like me and then 3 other singer-songwriters playing songs we wrote in the round. So
Oh, that's cool.
They're letting me kind of use the space and do this new series, so I'm excited about that.
So these going to be kind of the same people that you bring onto your podcast? Or?
Some of the people that I have lined up have been on the podcast, but it's not necessarily tied into it. It just happens to be like they're people that I'm familiar with, and I also have some people that I will be playing with who I've never even met before that I just like know about, or maybe saw at an open mic and emailed and was like, hey, I saw you and didn't say
hello,
hi, but
Katie.
do you want to be in my show?
Would you like to be on my podcast? Yeah.
Yeah.
I do that too.
So it's a mix.
Yeah. So you asked me who my kind of like go-to, like my dream guest would be.
I should never have asked that question.
Well, that was a good question.
Now you're going to ask it back.
No. Do you have like a dream performance? Like, is there a place that you're like, oh, it'd be great to play the Grand Ole Opry or someplace in Nashville or...
I mean,
Carnegie Hall
like
or,
everywhere. Like I mean, well, when I was in Nashville, I actually had the awesome opportunity to see a show at the Ryman Auditorium downtown, and it's just like so beautiful, filled with so much history, and the sound in there was amazing. I would love to play a show there, just since you mentioned Nashville. I am I would like to play.
I was kind of hoping you'd be like, oh, Plymouth, we'd love to come down and play in Plymouth.
I have been trying to play, I've been trying. I just emailed them for the first time. I would like to play at the Spire Center, actually, and I just walked in there. Yeah. I've heard a lot of good things about it.
It's a gorgeous
location.
And
actually, when I was walking around town earlier before we started recording, I had some time to kill, and it happened to be open, so I peeked my head in, and it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. I remember the first time I went in, I'm like, oh my god, I really have to sit in a pew for like 2 hours, but they're like cushioned, so I'm like, all right, that's okay.
That's good. Yeah, I would love to start playing in more venues like that are. I mean, I love the Burn. Like the Burn is kind of like a restaurant bar listening room, and I love that vibe for its own reasons, you know. And then I think that I would love to get experience playing in places like the Spire Center, big churches that are just like more about, you might not be eating dinner, but you're just there to see the concert.
Right.
I'd like to get more shows like that. I think that
places where they've already gone out to eat and now they're
they're like here
listen.
to hear the music. They're there to hear the music, and I think
no one's gonna shush them because they're already shushed.
I think that would be a rush. Like just. I don't know. I'd probably be nervous. I'd be like,
do you still get like nervous in stage?
Yes.
Fright? Yeah.
I usually, usually I'm nervous right before the show, and then after the first song, I feel pretty much at home.
So just kind of like once you kind of rip the Band-Aid off and get going.
Yeah. Once I start playing, I'm like, no, this feels right. This feels good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you have 2 albums out. Have you had any like weird, surreal moments of fame, I guess, where people like recognize you or approach you, or at the grocery store and something like, I saw you perform the other night? Anything?
I mean, all the time, No, I'm just kidding.
Or like that moment where they're like, I was talking to my friend and you shushed me.
No, I can't say that I have, but that would be weird and cool, I guess.
Yeah.
But no, I've had, in terms of like things feeling surreal, I feel like it's more like I'll forget that what I'm doing isn't something that everyone gets to do, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, totally.
Like because my circle right now is singer-songwriters. Like everyone's putting out new music, everyone's putting out albums, everyone's playing shows all the time. And so I'll forget that that's like not normal.
Right.
And so I'll go home to New Hampshire and I'll be talking to someone and someone will be like, wow, I've been following you on social media and like you're really doing well, like you're playing all these shows, you got these like videos up and like blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, it's like no big deal. And they're like, oh yeah, but you just put out an album, right? And I'm like, yeah, I did, and I kind of like, I find myself downplaying it almost in a weird way, and they're like, that's a really big deal. And I'm like, it's in those moments where I'm like, oh yeah, that's like a big deal. And I know that, like, because obviously, I mean, I worked on it for a year, and then my first one, I worked on it for 2 years. Like, I know it's a big deal, but you just kind of start getting used to like doing all these things all the time. And then
it is weird. You kind of like get on this like inner circle of different things. I remember, I think it was Friday night. There's a big beer release at Mayflower Brewery, and there was a concert there. The place was packed, So there's a line at the restroom because it's like this one little bathroom off of the tap room. And we walked in, and Fish just went through the authorized, employee-only door to go upstairs to go to the bathroom. So I was like, does he work here? And I'm like, oh, well, no. Well, not. Well, it's cool. And you just kind of forget that, like, we just have weird access to places that...
Yeah.
Like, the other day, someone offered us a key to a distillery, and I'm like, that's a really bad idea. Don't give me a key to a distillery.
Feel free to invite me.
What's wrong with you?
He's
like, yeah, anytime you want to, like, record your podcast. I'm like, well, what times are you guys open? And he's like, I'll just give you a key. And I'm like, well, that's terrible
Have
business.
You met me?
Yeah. So it's that weird kind of moments where you're like, yeah, this is my life, and it's a weird experience.
Yeah. I can't even imagine, like, when singers and performers and podcasters and you name it, like, when they do get to that next level, whatever that means, like, I can't imagine how weird that is.
Are you looking forward to, like, throwing out that do you know who I am? I feel like you want to. I feel like you want to.
Do they know who I am?
I have been on a podcast. So you're gonna play some songs for us, right?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Before we do that, where can people go online to find out, find your music and buy your CD and do your sales pitch?
So, Facebook, I am at Katie Dobbins Music. That's my handle.
And she watches the page likes go up. So.
Right. I sit there at midnight every night and I just watch the magic happen. So if you want to give me a like at midnight, that would be great. No, I'm just kidding. Facebook, Instagram is the same thing, just Katie Dobbins Music. And I think I have a Twitter, but I don't actually use it, but I think it automatically posts things whenever I post anywhere else.
It's like linked to Facebook or something.
Yeah, so it's probably like just a really annoying string of like everything I post on every platform. But I do have a website. It's katieDobbinsmusic.com.
And they can buy the CD there?
Once I figure out how to set up the online store, yes. But until then, if you'd like a copy of the CD, you can get it digitally anywhere you can find music. So Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, Bandcamp, etc. Or you can Facebook message me and tell me that you want a copy, and I will mail you one until I set up the store.
and they can join your email list. You're very responsive to emails there. So
yes, I love email. I'm always on my email.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good or bad. But
I don't know. You got right back to us. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So,
this is great.
Yeah. What songs are you going to play for us?
I am going to play a couple songs from my newest record. I'll play Bring on the Fire and Jeep Song. And then I'm actually going to play you a brand new song I wrote a couple days ago, inspired by kind of some of the country music I had been hearing down in Nashville a couple weeks ago.
So is this like a world premiere?
It is a world premiere.
Oh, we feel so special.
Yeah. Well, it depends on when this podcast gets published, actually.
Within a couple weeks?
I might sing it before then. It'll be the world podcast
under contract
premiere.
You can't. All right, cool. So 3 songs. Awesome.
Cool. Thank you so much for...
No problem.
Are we going to talk again after the songs, or is this
No, we kind of go to music and then we'll fade out.
Thank you so much for having me.
No
this
problem.
has been great. I'm so glad we finally connected and made this happen.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
We'll have you on again. Next time your album next album comes out, we'll have you back on.
Cool. Sounds good.
Thanks.
They said, when will you learn? If you play with fire, you're gonna get burnt. But if you don't, you may never feel the heat at all. I'd rather burn alive than be too afraid to fall. Bring on the fire. There was a rebel of a man down in Tennessee, was told only whites drink this tap for free. He sat down, poured a glass anyway. In court a week later, he was shackled in chains. Said, yeah, I'm gonna do it again. Drink that water till my dying day. don't, you may never feel the heat at all. I'd rather burn alive than be too afraid to fall. I don't wanna be too afraid to fall. I don't wanna be too afraid to fall. I don't wanna be too afraid to fall. Yeah, bring on the fire. 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 Thanks, guys. This is called Jeep Song. Take your foot off the clutch, easy now. Take that transmission down. I'll take you all over town in this wrangly topless crown. Put your foot on the gas, easy now. Turn up that radio sound. We're singing all over town in this wrangly topless crown. Don't stall on me. We're riding with the wind in our seats. Don't stall on me. I'm trying to believe. Turn your eyes to the window, easy now. Let that air blow around. There's views like this all Take your foot off the clutch. Easy now.
Thanks.
You don't have to put your makeup on to go out. You don't have to sit there in that bar talking about the movies or the weather or whatever's hot right now. When all you're thinking about is how long will this take to get over? What words need to be said to get closure? Feels like you were just in those arms. Now you're standing here alone, but there's no expiration date on a heartbreak. You don't have to tell him how you're loving life right now. You don't have to put a smile on, wondering how long you can fake it. When will you make it? Oh, how long will this take to get over? What words need to be said to get closure? Feels like you were just in those arms. Now you're standing here alone, but there's no expiration date on a heartbreak. You can't bottle it up then throw it out. You can't hide it in your drawer and forget about it. And you can't give it away to someone else, 'cause there's no expiration date. No, there is no expiration date on a heartbreak. No, you don't have to put a smile on, talking about the weather like you've never been better.
That's it.
Sweet.
Okay, thanks for checking out the podcast. And don't forget to check out our other podcasts on the Inebri-art Podcast Network. There's the Bar Talk. There's Old Colony Cast. There's, of course, the Inebri-art Podcast. And our latest, Retro Redoctopus, a kind of nerd genre podcast that you can check out now, all available on our website at inebri-art.com. And pretty much available everywhere that podcasts are available, on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, all those things. And if you don't see it where you're looking, let us know. We'll try to get onto that as well. And you can also email us at inebri-art@yahoo.com with your questions, complaints, and suggestions. And also, if you could take the time to rate and review us on iTunes, that would be phenomenal. That helps us get more exposure and bring more of these great podcasts to your ears. And thanks again for listening.